In the wake of an embarrassing loss on the battlefield, the invading Italian forces devised a plan to isolate Ethiopia from the Red Sea to prevent it from importing weapons. This strategy culminated in forcing Ethiopia to sign treaties in 1889 and again in 1908, despite Italy's loss in the Battle of Adwa, 1896. The 1908 agreement between Italy and Ethiopia sought to further define the border between Ethiopia and Italian Eritrea, solidifying Italy's control over key coastal ports like Massawa and Assab. While Ethiopia remained a victim of these coercive agreements, Eritrea has repeatedly violated the treaty by invading and occupying Ethiopian territory in the north. As of March 2025, Eritrean forces continue to illegally occupy Ethiopian land, underscoring the treaty's illegitimacy. Given these violations, Ethiopia has every legal and moral right to withdraw from the 1908 treaty and demand rightful access to the Red Sea. Ethiopia's potential withdrawal from these treaties is strongly supported by international law, particularly under the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties. Several articles within this convention justify Ethiopia's claim. Article 60. A material breach of a bilateral treaty by one party entitles the other to terminate or suspend the treaty. Eritrea's continued invasion and occupation of Ethiopian territory constitute clear violations, giving Ethiopia the right to revoke the treaty. Article 49. If a state was induced into signing a treaty through fraud by another negotiating state, the treaty is rendered invalid. Italy's colonial agenda in drafting the treaty was explicitly aimed at blocking Ethiopia's access to the Red Sea, thereby undermining Ethiopia's sovereignty and security. Article 50. A treaty procured through corruption of a state's representatives is considered invalid. The treaty was imposed by colonial Italy, without any Eritrean state involvement, further highlighting its illegitimacy. Article 51. If a treaty is signed under coercion, it holds no legal validity. Ethiopia was forced into signing the treaty under threats and pressure from the Italian invaders, making it legally null and void. Article 52. Any treaty procured by threat or use of force is void under international law. Italy's military aggression against Ethiopia before and after the treaty's signing clearly demonstrates such coercion. Article 53. A treaty that violates a peremptory norm of general international law is void. Blocking Ethiopia, a nation of over 120 million people, from direct access to the Red Sea constitutes a gross violation of international law and human rights. Ethiopia's continued exclusion from the Red Sea due to a treaty imposed by colonial Italy is a historical injustice that must be rectified. Given Eritrea's repeated treaty violations and the clear legal justifications under the Vienna Convention, Ethiopia has the absolute right to withdraw from the 1908 treaty and demand a new demarcation that ensures its rightful access to the Red Sea. The international community must recognize this historical wrong and support Ethiopia in reclaiming its legitimate maritime access. Since Eritrea continued to violate the treaty by invading and occupying Ethiopian territories, the Ethiopian government should reach out to the international community and declare its withdrawal from the 1889 and 1908 treaties.